welcome to Northwest Room at Home. My name is Lisa Lapovich and I'm the History Specialist at the Everett Public Library, and this is the Northwest Room. If you've noticed, I'm actually not at home today. We're back in the building for limited amounts of time, even though we remain closed to the public. Today I'm going to be talking about panoramic photos. I don't know if you can tell, I'm working with the tripod today because I'm alone in the Northwest Room, but I've got some spread out here on these map cabinets. I am happy to announce that we have received a Snohomish County Historic Preservation Grant, and I'm going to be able to digitize all of our panoramas from our Juleen photo collections, so Juleen Studios photo collection. The Snohomish County Historic Preservation Grant aims to, I'm going to read from their website because I want to get this right. They want to preserve historic assets that include artifacts, sites, structures, buildings, or sets of information whose preservation will benefit the historical insight, interpretation, or education of our citizens. And I really want to encourage people to seek out these grants because people or organizations or businesses around the county that have materials or structures or collections that demonstrate the history of this county or the cities within the county, because I think a lot of the time our organizations and our people within the community don't really know what they have. Businesses that have been around a long time, or families that have been around for a long time, or organizations that have been around for a long time, you are all part of the community and you're part of our history. And I think that we all have history that's worth saving. It's not just within the libraries and it's not just within the museums. If you think that you may have something that's worth saving, it's worth talking to one of these institutions to see if there might be partnerships that could be forged to pursue these funding opportunities. Because of COVID, the announcement of these grants were delayed, and we just received word that we were able to proceed with this project, and we're really, really, really excited. So I will get on with it and tell you now about the grant, but I wanted to kind of put that plug in there. We're very excited, and I encourage people to kind of explore that grant and learn about it, and I hope they're going to be able to offer it again for 2021 and beyond. But it's exciting that they're still helping history being preserved within the county. So anyway, the Juleen panoramas. For folks that have been learning about county history, Juleen Studios has been kind of a mainstay. If you've been within local businesses within Everett in the county and you see an old photo, or if you've been reading about Everett history, generally if you're looking at an old mill photo or an old downtown Everett photo or something within the county that's an old black and white, you might be looking at an old Juleen studio photo. John Juleen was active in Everett specifically, but elsewhere in the county from 1908 to 1935 when he passed away. His wife Lee and a photographer named Everett Murray actually kept the studio running until 1953. Lee did a lot of the studio photography, did a lot of the processing, and Everett Murray did a lot of the industrial photography that happened out in the community, so a lot of the mill shots. There's a really famous photo of the Everett waterfront called Moonlight Mills, or Mills by Moonlight or something like that, that I think a lot of people would be familiar with, that he shot. But yeah, it's a very, very famous photographic studio that was based in Everett. So I think a lot of the shots you'd be familiar with. If you go to epls.org and look for the Northwest Room tab, the Juleen Studios collection is a great place to find digital photography. So with the panoramas, John Juleen shot continual rolls of film. So a lot of the panoramas that you find are actually stitched together from individual negatives, but when he was shooting the panoramas, he would shoot continual film on a tripod that had a swivel mount. So you'll see on these photographs, it's kind of almost a funhouse effect, where people on one end of the image are going to appear a little bit shorter than some of the people further on, so you're going to see a little bit of a distortion where some people are a little bit tall and people are a little bit shorter as you go further on, and then you're going to see some mischievous people that might appear a couple of times. We have other panoramas by other photographers where you will see, people joking around and jumping in and out of shots. Just for fun. And I'm gonna, in a different segment of this, I'm gonna take the camera off the tripod and come and pan through this. But the reason that we've decided to digitize from the negatives and not from the contact prints is you're gonna get a far superior image. You're gonna get more detail. When you're increasing the size of an image from the negative, you're just gonna be able to blow it up many more degrees of magnitude than from the paper. You blow it up, you're going to just start seeing paper fibers rather than seeing more detail in the image. John Juleen's degree of skill with his camera is such that, this photograph of the Tulalip Residential School, it looks like an empty photograph, but in the background you have people walking around in the distance, and I think there's a couple dogs and things that you can see, in this otherwise empty photo. You may begin to see, people that people can recognize as relatives. So it's really a great document that tells us about society and organizations that, people can actually recognize their relatives. You've got places like Gothic Basin where we can tell how the glaciers have changed on that mountain and, how the snowpack may have differed. What rocks may have fallen, for mountaineers out there. If you've hiked that area, how does the landscape look different? It's just a wonderful resource. You've got areas around Snohomish Island and Skagit counties. I think you may even have some King County scenes in this collection, so it's really kind of great.
So giving everybody an idea of the scale of these images, this is the longest panorama we have in the collection. So this is one single negative. When John Juleen took this image, it was one single take, so he would have had to, just like I'm doing my herky-jerky camera work here, I'm obviously not on the tripod, I'm just panning. He took this all in one shot, just on his tripod scanning along. And then you have this wonderful motorcycle group here, which I love it because you have both men and women in the Everett Motorcycle Club riding along together. Bunch of Bonnie and Clydes. You've got a berry farm out here. And for the most part, all of these panoramas are identified by location, so the wonderful thing about these images is they're all pretty well documented. Here's that image of the Tulalip Residential School I was talking about. And with the images of the tribal locations, we'll be giving high-res copies of these to the tribes because we like to share resources with our partner organizations. A lot of these images we've had requests from outside organizations to share, and we've just never had a good way to share the images before, so it's mutually beneficial for our partners. In the Northwest Room collections, we don't have a lot of images that show the Black community within Everett, so it's great to be able to get a good scan of this meeting of Black Masons within Everett. We've only really been able to get partial scans of this, so it'll be nice to be able to share this fully scanned. Here we have the Women's Label League, the Labor Day Parade in 1912. I like this one because he moved the camera a little too fast and it got blurry. It looks like they're time warping. She is riding a horse. There's that shot of Gothic Basin. Got a big company picnic up here at Silver Lake. And we have a lot of shots at Silver Lake that John Juleen's studio took over the years. I know a lot of families have some of these at their homes. These were popular for Everett Pulp and Paper and other companies. They would go up to Silver Lake for their picnics and then issue them to their employees. I know a lot of families have those in their home collections. And then this little guy up here is one of our shortest panoramas. And I think it's just a little over a foot long. That's the Everett Reservoir up on Ricker Hill being dug. So some people have been up there on walks with their dogs. They'd be familiar with that location. So I'm going to walk back just a moment so you can see this location here. These filing cabinets are, when this project is done, I'm going to encapsulate all of these prints in some Mylar sleeves so that people can come in and browse the prints, because those have never really been publicly available for people to go through. So that'll be a nice little side project for public access. I'm gonna pause this and we're gonna go on a little bit of a walk down to the archives, and I'll show you how we've got the negatives stored. So the second part of this process is going to involve packing these negatives and then shipping them off to be digitized by our contractor. So here we are downstairs in the staff area, which is the archives. And even though I'm working alone, I will not, because that's what the sign says. Getting a little behind the scenes view. This is one of our little archive storage spaces. A little scanning station here for digitizing some print and negative materials. So a little flatbed scanner that could handle slides. We can do glass plate negatives. Can't do anything quite so large, so we can't be doing any panoramas in here. Little we can do it, lady. Nice big monitor, that's fantastic. Some AV materials. Got a new climate control system up there, which is fantastic. That's the old model. Was going to be a little bit hard to take that out. Got a poster from our Everett Massacre Centennial. Want to keep that. And then in the back is where we keep the copy negatives for the panoramas. So all those boxes are what we're going to be packaging up to send out to our digitization lab. And I have pulled aside one lucky specimen. It's not the most exciting thing to look at, and I don't want to necessarily handle them. I haven't pulled out the cotton gloves. With negatives though, you want to be using gloves to avoid the hand oil transfers, but you can see they are quite large. They are big rolls of a roll film. Yeah, let's see if I can get up in there. Yeah, you can't really tell much, but those are big roll films of panoramic slide, and they will probably be given some kind of buffer material and put into tubes and then shipped off with some tracking, probably overnighted, and they'll be sent to the lab, and they are very excited to receive them. I checked with my my contact. I've been talking to that person for a couple of years at Chicago Albumin Works, and I asked if they had stopped work for COVID, and it sounded like they had some big projects going on, and they had been so isolated. They're up in the mountains, up in Massachusetts. You know, they're pretty far from civilization there, and they had shut down for a little bit of time, and they were able to resume work, and they had worked through their projects. So they are really excited to get back to work and get a big project like ours. So as soon as we're able to ship these off, they will be ready to go. We have about 142 negatives that will be going out, so they will be excited to work on these. So they will be weighing their way east, hopefully within the next few weeks. And then when those return, they're going to come back on a hard drive, and there will be some metadata work that needs to be done, and there will be a new collection on Content DM, which is the server that we use to host our digital collections. You'll be able to, you know, see a big zoom out, which probably won't be as fun, but what you can do that'll be the most fun is kind of zoom in and see all the great details. So this probably isn't the most exciting view for, you know, the average folk, but I love behind the scenes looks at collection spaces because I'm kind of an archives nerd. So this is where the magic happens for archivists. There's old VHS things for people like me who grew up in the 80s. For some of the young kids, you probably don't know what that is, but those are what happened before DVDs. For some young people, you probably don't know what those are. There's very large news video cassettes up there. There's, I don't know, I don't think we have Betamax. Oh, we have one Betamax tape down there. Lots of different formats. I think I'm going to cut it off there, though. That's probably another video for another day about all the other stuff that's down here, and the map cases and other things like that. If you have any questions about stuff in this video, feel free to send me an email. I'm at libnw@everettwa.gov. Drop me a line or comment on the Facebook video or YouTube video, and I'm happy to answer some questions. Again, I'm Lisa, and I am, I guess, your Northwestern at Home history specialist. Be safe and have a good day.